Okay, welcome to the very first episode of the Lonestar Tracking Podcast. I'm Charles, joined today by Tom, Ryan, and Karl. For those that don't know us, we are Lonestar Tracking, a Texas-based GPS technology company with one mission. If it moves or if it matters, we can track it. We track just about everything: fleet vehicles, trailers, ATVs, and pallets moving through supply chains, cattle's out on ranches, even white rhinos in conservation areas. Out on the pastures, we help farmers monitor water trough levels, and in cold storage, we monitor temperature levels in fridges and reefers. And one of the biggest reasons people turn to us is theft. Vehicles are being stolen at alarming rates, and that's why basically today, that's what we're tackling on the call. We'll cover the latest numbers, which vehicles are at most at risk, how thieves are pulling off, and what you can do to protect yourself. So just a hard fact here, in 2024, over 850,000 vehicles were stolen in the US. That's about one every 37 seconds. And Karl, what insight can you give us in regards to the type of vehicles that are stolen?
Well, mostly, I would say pickups. The newer pickups are most stolen. Uh, Chevy Silverado, the Ford pickups, also Honda Accords, the Hyundai and Kia vehicles, because traditionally, at least in the last couple of years, they've had issues with security and they're easier to steal. But I think the one thing to keep in mind too is that, where these things are being stolen from in any vehicle would apply to this, and that is that, over half of them are being stolen either from in front of your home or in a parking lot. About 33%, about a third from in front of your home or near your home, and another 22% or so from parking lots. So you always have to be cognizant of that.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more than that. Um, Thomas, uh, do you think most car owners realize how vulnerable their cars actually are?
No, not at all. Uh, the technology that's used to secure the car today, those key fobs that you have in your pocket, that is old, outdated technology. It doesn't change. You go buy a new car and the look of it changes, but your key fobs stay the same. Or that technology, and it's called rolling code, is what it is. But so similar technology to opening and closing your garage door, stuff like that. It is vulnerable. There are security flaws that are in it, but the average person is not going to have any idea that these issues exist, and that's just to gain entry into the car. A lot of the newer cars today, you might be familiar. Older cars, you had to put a key into the ignition. Well, you don't do that anymore with these newer cars today. You can keep the key in your pocket, and the vehicle is going to detect it. Well, that wireless communication there between the vehicle and your key fob, uh, that is also vulnerable. There's man-in-the-middle attacks. There's replay attacks. There's several different types of attacks that can be used to gain access to the vehicle. And as well, we'll talk about some of the things that the car owners can use or do to improve their odds of protecting their vehicle.
Absolutely. And talking about that technology, the thieves really are getting smarter. We all know that. And just that whole situation of these modern cars only needing the key to be, or the fob to be in proximity to get the door open. The thieves are using, the boosters, which basically boost the signal for the fob. So you could have your car key on the inside of your house door hung up on the side, and they could boost the signal of that fob without even being inside of your door or even close to that fob. They're on the outside of your door. And also, you'd think, hey, that's only to get the door open for the vehicle, but also they're able to clone that fob. So then they're able to get in your car, basically clone the fob and the codes to start the car. So, and then they're off. And these fancy models, the Mercedes, a lot of upcoming luxury cars, um, it's all start to start engine with just a push of a button, and they just need to have that fob in proximity to get that activated. So yeah, and um, it is a wild fact that going back to the models, the Hyundais and the Kias made between 2011 and 2021 can literally be stolen with a USB cable. Like as simple as just a USB cable, just like this. That is all they need. All they need is that. They need a screwdriver just to get in and rip the steering column off. And then as soon as they get to a specific piece of the ignition on those models of cars, all they need is that. And they literally, not even with any data connected to it, it's literally just that piece of the USB that plugs in, and they turn it and it starts up. And yeah, that's why those cars actually went viral on TikTok, because there was a so-called Kia challenge of actually challenging themselves to do that to their Hyundai and Kias. But Tom, uh, tell us a bit more about the other technologies that you've come across that these thieves are using to exploit
Yeah,
this
I mean,
situation.
you've nailed it. What it comes down to is it's not a complicated task. If you have the right information and the right tools, you can do it. To to gain access to a vehicle, maybe somebody left their backpack, their laptop in the car, or something like that. Literally takes a matter of seconds to unlock a vehicle. To steal the vehicle, same thing. Literally in a matter of seconds. So it can happen quick. There's some tools out there. Here's an off-the-shelf tool right here. So this is called the Flipper Zero, and the Flipper Zero was originally designed as um, a pen testing tool, a tool that security researchers would use to take a look at wireless networks, um, wireless protocols, RF, infrared, so different types of wireless technologies. And but using a simple tool like the Flipper Zero, that along with some custom software that you can put onto the device, that enables you to mimic these key fobs. So with one of these tools, I can quickly open your car door. I can quickly start the ignition and drive off. And all this is going to happen in less than 60 seconds. But I mentioned there's some things that you can do and that all these owners, should be doing as basic practice. So the first one here is gaining entry into the vehicle using a tool just like this here that I showed you. If you walk out to your car and you press the lock button on your key fob and nothing happens, and then you press it again, and then your car locks or unlocks, that is a sign that something could have happened, that somebody could be in there intercepting that data. Uh, no one's going to be paying attention to that. You grab the key fob, you hit lock or unlock, and you go about your day. And that's what makes this attack pretty easy. Um, but that's how someone can gain entry into the physical vehicle itself. Then you have the other one where it's the key fob in your pocket when you get into the vehicle itself. Push the start button. Um, so with that technology, what people will do, or what thieves will do, it takes two people. You've got one thief that stands by the vehicle itself, and you have a second thief that stands maybe next to your bedroom window. So at night, you're sleeping, and if you have your key fob, say on your nightstand next to your bed, the thief will be at your bedroom window. He uses a tool, a readily available tool, to pick up that signal from the fob and replay or amplify it. So he is now amplifying that key fob signal. So now your vehicle thinks you're standing next to the car. It thinks you're in close proximity because that signal strength has been amplified from that key fob. So then you have your second attacker who's standing at the vehicle there. He simply opens the door, again, as if he had that key fob in his pocket. So simple things you can do is keep that key fob away from the windows. If you're in a two-story house, move it to the top story, or something like that. But a lot of folks have it hung up on a key ring or something like that right by their front door. So it makes it easy. And that's what these thieves are betting on. So you can also put it, they sell bags that are like RFID proof, stuff like that. People may put their passports in when you travel, or credit cards, so thieves can't scan the NFC chips. Uh, you can put your key fob into something like that. Heck, there's even people that'll keep them in the microwave. I'm not suggesting you go off on that limb. It's just showing you that this is out there. People are doing it. This is how vehicles are getting stolen. The other comment on here comes back to GPS, and all these vehicles have GPS trackers. You go buy a car right now, it's going to. Heck, if you buy a used car from 2020 or something like, no, that's no, I mean, much farther than that. But if you buy a used car, um, there's a good chance that the dealers put a tracker in there. And if you finance that vehicle, guess what? And you quit making payments, they're going to know where to find you. Here's the thing about it. Thieves know, they study, they look at these vehicles. They know, just like Karl said, he gave us a list. You gave us a list, Charlie, of different vehicles that are susceptible for theft or common to be stolen. Why? Because they're easy. It's easy to gain access into that vehicle, but it's also easy for them to disable any type of GPS system that's already in there. My mother, for example, has a Chevy Tahoe. It got stolen. And guess what? Didn't have a GPS tracker in her vehicle. First thing the thieves did, though, is they disabled the onboard or OnStar tracking system. They disabled it. They ended up driving to a bar, go inside to have a few drinks, and they parked in front of a fire hydrant. And so the vehicle got towed. And that's how we ended up finding it. Point being is the thieves know where your OEM GPS systems are. They don't know if you have a secondary one or if you have an alternative one. You put a tracker from Lonestar, you put a tracker from the next tracking company. Doesn't matter who it is. Put a tracker in that vehicle. If they want to steal your vehicle, they're going to. Simple as that. There's very little that you can do to prevent it. They're going to steal that car. Now you need the technology in order to get it back.
Absolutely. And it really is bonkers how confident a lot of people think they are. I mean, there's the new Ford tracking system, which comes as an additional add on for a brand new pickup truck that you maybe buy from Ford. I've heard a lot of people talking very highly of it, but what they don't know is behind that, there's very sophisticated thieves who are able to shut that in house Ford system off with just within a couple of minutes. They've got the software, um, they've got the devices that could just be plugged right in, and it's just as simple as that. You know, they can disable it. Then they're definitely not as safe as they think they are, even though it's a modern system that's been put into these modern Ford vehicles. Ryan, you recently had a breach in on your pickup truck whilst you're in a restaurant, and tell us a little bit about that. You I remember speaking to you about it, and you believe it was a bit of an inside job. Like, you believe there was actually people within the restaurant who were assisting in watching out for the thief.
Yeah, so basically, I uh, went to a restaurant and went inside, waiting for a table. It was pretty packed. Uh, Parking lot was pretty full, so that went back out after waiting. Back when I smoked cigarettes and went outside, smoked a cigarette, and came and opened my driver door, and I noticed that my all the stuff that was in my center console was on all out on the passenger seat. Um, wasn't sure what happened or why I didn't do that. I just got there. Went back inside. I put everything back in my center console. Came back out or went back in to the restaurant, and after we'd finished eating everything, came back out, and everything was out again and my from my center console. So basically, somebody was working in the restaurant and uh, knew, just said, "Hey, this guy, he's got this shirt on. He's coming in right now. Let me know when he's coming back out, or if he comes back out." And so they called him and told him, "Hey, he's on his way back out." And they jumped out of it, and they were probably parked right next to me. Um, I didn't bother looking at any cars next to me because I wouldn't think that would have happened like that. But they were probably parked next to me or something like that, laying down in the car. Didn't see him, and then when I went back in there, they got back in my truck. So
That's unfortunate that you had your window smashed in, but luckily they wasn't able to actually get off with your vehicle. That would
well,
have
they
been
didn't.
even worse.
Yeah, they didn't smash my window. They used a screwdriver and shoved it in the keyhole and opened it that way.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it's
At
another
least it,
point. It's quick. It's the amount of time that they
Yeah.
got into Ryan's vehicle. If they want in, they're going to get in. I don't care what technology you're using. You know, they got in there.
Yep.
absolutely, yeah. And Carl, If you could give just one easy tip to any car listeners owning right now, like listening right now, excuse me, what would it be?
Just don't assume that what you have or the security that you think you have either in your house or in your car is enough. Think about having redundant systems. We talked a little bit about these factory installed security systems. It's really smart technology. They're sending information about your car, driving habits, everything else up to the cloud, whether it's OnStar, BMW Assist, or something like that. But definitely consider getting a battery operated tracker. We offer something that we offer several trackers that are both battery and wired. But in case of our battery operated tracker, it's unique in that it has technology that allows it not to be discovered. And it's unique to the industry. No one else is offering anything like that. So our battery operated tracker has long life batteries. You can hide it under your vehicle or around your vehicle. It cannot be detected by one of these sophisticated scanners. It's certainly reasonably priced, but especially if you're talking about a vehicle these days where even the economy vehicles cost $30,000 or more, investing in a tracker that costs $150 plus a subscription is well worth it. And you may even be eligible for insurance discounts if you have that extra layer of security. The other thing to keep in mind is that, as Thomas was saying earlier, these thieves are very sophisticated. They're working in syndicates and gangs that where they're well trained. They're using this money to purchase drugs, which they can sell, and so they're very entrepreneurial, if you will. It's not just one guy or one woman stealing cars or trucks. It's gangs of thieves who are doing this. They can do it quickly. Chances are, if they want to take your vehicle, they will. So recovery, quick recovery, is key. The sooner it's recovered, the sooner it's located, uh, the better you're able to recover your vehicle in similar condition to when it was stolen. They take these things to warehouses, they part them out, whether it's your vehicle or other some type of equipment, construction equipment or tools or that type of thing. Very easy to repaint it and then sell it on a secondary market. All these markets are set up to do this. So the quicker you can recover, the better. The other thing is there's a risk of carjacking. And carjacking is up by 100% in the top 10 major cities in the United States, also in Canada as well. And if you're being carjacked, your life is in danger as well as your loved ones, pets. It's not just the equipment that can be stolen, whether it's your vehicle or the belongings inside. So one of our trackers or any tracker can help recover the vehicle and perhaps you or your loved one.
Karl brought up a kind of an interesting topic here, and like he said, they're going to steal it if they want it. End of story. So your focus now needs to be on the recovery side of things. We work directly with law enforcement all over the world, and on the recovery, and it's crazy the number of times when we are in real time speaking with dispatch or speaking with an officer on scene, uh, telling them, okay, the vehicle just took a left, etc. We're navigating them as this chase is going on, and they'll get helicopters involved. It can get quite large, but the number of times that we're involved in this, where they finally get to this person, they finally go recover the vehicle, and they find equipment, they find hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stolen equipment there. So it's one car, that someone stole, but it turns into these huge busts. And so, you got to think differently. It's they're going to take your car. That's going to happen, and there's nothing you're going to do about it. But when they do, you need to either have the tools to know where to go get it, or how to recover that asset. So pretty cool stuff. So he also,
Absolutely.
quickly here, Charlie, he also mentioned the technology on one of these trackers. So um, you hear about people misusing trackers. That's it's out there. It is what it is. These trackers that we have, we design them purposely to avoid theft or I'm sorry. We designed these trackers specifically to avoid being detected. So the logic that we put in here makes it so when you fire up one of these flipper zeros and you do a scan, and we've got other videos that show how it takes less than 60 seconds to find an Apple AirTag. Super easy to find. And the thieves know it. Or using a flipper zero to find a GPS tracker. You can go on Amazon right now and you can buy a $10 tracker all day long, or eBay. And the thing is, you're buying a $10 tracker. Think of buying a $10 electronic device. What are you going to get? Probably something that, well, you get what you pay for. So is what it boils down to. And those cheap trackers like that are so easy to detect using a flipper or another one of these tools that's available on the market. You literally walk down the trailer or vehicle or whatnot, and it starts beeping. And as the beeps get louder and stronger, you're getting closer. So it leads you right to that tracker. Easy for them to clip, throw it out the window, step on it, whatever they're going to do. So that is key. And it makes no sense to me in a million years why somebody would buy a $60,000 vehicle and protect it with a $20 AirTag or a $10 GPS tracker. Those are odds. I don't play the lottery, but I mean, the odds are not in your favor. Get something that is engineered correctly, that is designed to perform, that has a track record of performing, that's specifically designed to avoid detection, and that's exactly the device that Karl was talking about there. Makes a big difference.
Indeed, and not just the vehicles. It really is crazy how many trailers are a hot topic for these thieves. And can you imagine, just from previous experiences with customers, we once had a customer who he was in the he was an electrician, self-employed, running his own business, and all of his tools were inside of the enclosed trailer that he had. Now, the enclosed trailer, $20,000, really, fancy, nice quality USA built trailer. They were off that, and as well as all of his tools that he has inside of there. So his wills to make money and do his job out the window. It really is sad. He did end up recovering his trailer, which was the good news, and he actually had a free paint job on the trailer as well. So good for him. He maybe if he didn't want the paint job, but still he got his trailer back, and he also got his tools back as well. So, and that was within a time frame of like, I think it was like 2 days. They had the cops investigating, and with us, we were sending route reports, and we were giving all of the information coordinates that were needed for the authorities to basically catch this bad apple with the stolen trailer. And they actually uncovered 3 other stolen trailers. It wasn't just the one trailer which our customer had been taken, it was 3 other people had been taken advantage of. They didn't have trackers on their trailer. So thanks to our one tracker being on that trailer, I believe that all of the equipment was returned to the right owners. But it just comes, it's absolutely crazy.
It is. And actually, I want to read you part of an email that we just received. I'm going to keep it anonymous here, but it just brings in this point that we're trying to make. So listen to this. I had a GMC Denali Ultimate, and it was stolen. I had the standard car tracker, parentheses GMC, plus a tile AirTag. They disabled all the above, and the vehicle is now likely in Mexico. I just bought a brand new version of the exact same truck, and my plans to make it more difficult. The reason that I'm sharing this email with you right now is because this is the pattern that we see. Instead of being proactive and putting a tracking system on your vehicle before it is stolen over and over and over, somebody has to experience the theft, and then when they get their next vehicle, they're like, hey, maybe I should put a tracker in it. And when I just saw this email come through, it's the same thing. So that's the pattern that we see. You're spending, I have no idea what that vehicle cost, but I'm sure it's a pretty penny, don't put a $20 tracker on there to protect something that is tens, if not $100,000. I have no clue what that thing cost, but probably as much as some people's homes that they would have bought. It's well, you know how expensive vehicles are these days. So be proactive. That's key.
Yep, absolutely. And the impact that it can take on someone, can you imagine how paranoid you would be after having a brand new spanking, you know, GMC Denali, brand new, probably hasn't even put any mileage on it. That guy is going to be scarred, and that's, he's reached out to us because he really needs that peace of mind. Now, for anyone that's listening, if you really want the peace of mind, I could recommend to you get one of those. If you have a newer version of a car, make sure that you have one of those anti RFID pouches. So your key can't be cloned, therefore they can't get in your vehicle. The best thing you can do for peace of mind is make their lives harder. Of course, the more sophisticated the thief, the easier it is for them. But what we can do to give you peace of mind is just make it harder for them. One thing I've noticed a lot of customers are applying is what they're doing is they are installing a wired tracker which goes directly to the battery of the vehicle. So when a thief finds that specific tracker, what it will do is it will lower the anxiety of the thief, thinking that that's the only tracker, because most thieves think, most people are only going to put one tracker. If you really want that peace of mind, put a wired tracker to start off with, and also a wireless tracker, a tracker that runs on its own batteries, like the Oyster Free, for example, is a perfect example, or the Barra. Use something like that as a backup, because once they find the wired tracker, which most likely that's the first place they're going to go, is the engine bay to try find the cables. Once they disconnect that, it's going to lower down their guard, and most of the time they'll just forget about it, and they'll think that their mission's complete and they're completely free. But yeah, having that additional tracker on there as a backup will definitely give you peace of mind. And most likely, the thief will not look any further after finding a wired tracker. They will think, "Hey, that's it. I'm in the money. I'm
Yeah,
ready to
it's a
go."
time crunch. They're
Yep.
there not to sit around and admire the weather. They're there to steal this thing and get out of there. So we keep hearing, they'll steal it. They'll take it to Walmart, to a parking lot where it's, there's a lot of people around. We also see times when I guess it's more equipment related, but they will grab a vehicle or a piece of equipment and they'll drive it 10 feet. They'll back it up in a driveway. They'll park it at the neighbor's house, something like that. They get up and they leave, but they're watching. I don't know if they're in the bushes or what, but they're watching, is they want to see, do the cops show up? And if the cops don't show up, odds are there's no GPS tracker. There was no alarm that was triggered or anything like that. That vehicle is now safe for them to steal. But again, that's something we thought of when we developed our software for these trackers. So we're prepared for that. But that's another technique that we've been seeing more and more. They'll break in, move it a short distance, literally 2 parking spots over if you're at Walmart, and they'll wait to see if the cops show up. Nobody shows up, you're in the clear. So another thing to be watching out for.
Indeed. And Ryan, I want to come over to you. Just like myself, you've worked directly with customers in moments of despair when the vehicles have went missing. Like, we've all been on a phone call with someone that, hey, my trailer's stolen or my vehicle's stolen. We've all been there. Could you tell me? Don't mean to. I know we've got some really fast recovery rates with our devices, and I don't mean to blow our trumpets too much, but tell me, what's the quickest recovery that you've witnessed, like during your experience of working with customers in these moments of despair?
So so several of them, I mean, there's plenty of them, but one of them comes to mind is a guy had a pressure washer trailer was stolen, and he was able to, he called the cops, which it all depends on how fast the cops want to react to it. I mean, you're dependent on them to go and get your stuff back. You know where it's at. The pressure washer trailer was in a garage, um, and the guy's calling us and saying, I said, man, it's right there. I'm telling you. And he had to convince the cops, hey, it's there. I've got a tracker on it. And finally, the cops would go there. But a lot of times it depends on, can you get the cops to take the time to go do that? They want a lot of proof. They want a lot of, uh, they don't really talk to us. They'll contact the customer and then have the customer call us and stuff like that. So we'll send them whatever they need to verify that. Um, One of the things, like what Thomas was talking about just a minute ago, was um, the theft and everything. Is we've had customers where their tractor was moved from their property to the neighbor's property, and they called the cops. They thought it was actually the neighbor that was trying to steal their trailer. And the neighbor was like, I don't even know where this or tractor. I don't even know where this tractor came from. But it was the thief that was moving the tractor over to a neighbor's um, property and waiting to see if somebody was, the cops came and stuff like that, which they did. So nothing was ever done. But it was the neighbor kind of, in a way, being accused of trying to take the thing, but it wasn't. It was some other thief just seeing if there was any activity around it, if somebody was going to try to come check on it.
Yeah,
So,
these new trackers, like I was mentioning, specifically the ones that we're carrying, are designed to not be detected, and they're learning that. So it's a cat and mouse game. So now the thieves are now trying to outsmart us again by, hey, let's just move the equipment. If it stayed in that neighbor's yard and cops didn't show up, then that's their green light to go take it. But our trackers specifically would have notified the owner, that hey, there is activity. But there's no alarm. There's no signal that that thief is going to detect. They're not going to be able to find that tracker on that piece of equipment. Unlike your cheap trackers that are out there. So Ryan also mentioned another thing that comes up is when you're dealing with the law enforcement. You've got the tools, you've got the information, you know where that is. But a lot of you could be in an apartment complex, you could be condos, you could be, very very close buildings or houses side by side. Well, GPS can be accurate to a couple of feet, figure 5 feet on average. Um, but it gets worse. If it can't see the satellites, if it can't get a good signal from these satellites, your accuracy is going to get worse and worse. Now you're at 10 feet, now you're at 20 foot, etc. And if it's in somebody's garage and the next garage over is 10 feet away or 20 feet away, it's tough to tell. And so the cops specifically, they can't go get a warrant to go kick down this garage door if we're not sure which one it's in. So what we've been able to do with that is embed a 433 megahertz transmitter inside the device. So not only do you have the standard GPS tracker and that we're talking about today, if we ever get into one of those binds where we can't tell which house it is, there's a handheld tool that can be used. And you've probably seen it on TV when they're trying to track animals and stuff like that. You point it at this garage, point it at the next garage. Whichever one has a louder signal, that's where that tracker's hiding. So again, cat and mouse, but we're going to stay on top of it, keep innovating and developing new techniques here to beat these guys.
Absolutely. As they get smarter, we have to adapt. Everyone has to adapt. Technology is getting on, but also these thieves are as well. So it's all about just keeping up with what's going on in regards to technology. And in the end, technology is always going to win. Does anyone else have any comments or any tips or anything in regards to, being safe or, just keeping peace of mind?
I just say, a lot of people think, oh, it's not going to happen to me. Don't wait for that. Because the next thing you
Absolutely.
know, you turn around and go, shit. I
In
should have done
in the
something sooner.
when you least expect it as well, when you're going on holiday, when it's Christmas, these seasons as well that happen, Christmas, Thanksgiving, it seems that those are the best times for the thieves to attack, really. Yeah, but yeah, there we are. Vehicle theft in 2024 and beyond, $1 billion problem across North America. Sadly, it's not going to go away, But by knowing what the thieves are after, understanding how they operate, and using the right tools, especially trackers, preferably our trackers, we can tilt the odds back in our favor. I want to give a thanks to Tom, Ryan, and Karl for joining me today, and to everyone listening. This has been the Lonestar Tracking Podcast. Subscribe, share, and join us next time.